Mayo are in on the back of some huge wins. Kerry have won Munster again, but I mean it's not it's their 7th in a row, so it's not exactly anything fresh there.
I think everybody keeps waiting for Mayo to hit the wall. I mean, people will say this is another game, another weekend against a fresh Kerry team. Will it be one game too many? That's the first question. I mean, but they've continually proven over the years, going through the back door, that it's what I think they had 9 games. One of the years they went to All-Ireland final, 8 another year. So never seems to be one game too many. Even when they don't really perform, they still seem to be able to find a way to stay in a game and get a draw, take it to extra time, whatever. So you would imagine that they probably won't hit a wall. So you'd expect a contest. There's serious bad blood between these teams as well, which is going to make it very interesting to see how it plans out.
What the way has the bad blood manifested itself as far as you're concerned? I know they met a couple of times this year already down in Tralee and in the National League final, that Mayo winning on both occasions.
I just think Mayo winning. Anybody that beats Kerry, there's always bad blood with them, especially if they beat them a couple of times. So there's. Do
you think that 2014 All-Ireland semi-final down in Limerick plays into that as well?
Yeah, I think that's more a hurt thing from Mayo perspective probably, and there's still quite. I did a piece about it last week in the paper, and they're still quite sore about Shane Enright should have been sent off after 20 minutes.
He had a yellow card, should have got a black as well.
Down, and it didn't happen. It's obviously it's old hat at this stage, but I mean there's definitely a bit of hurt there from Mayo over that, and I think that carried into whenever they beat them in that semi-final replay. And obviously Kerry went with a sweeper that day, and Fitzmaurice's decisions were questioned for that replay, that All-Ireland semi-final replay.
Last year,
So,
or 2 years ago even.
2 years ago. So, I mean, anytime you take Kerry out of it, there always seems to be something there, some type of bad blood. They have bad blood with a lot of referees over the years, like David Goff for the Peter Crowley free that never was when Kevin McManaman hit him in an All-Ireland semi-final a few years ago, and Goff was blindsided and didn't see it, so couldn't call it. So, and then there's obviously the Joe McCullum thing too. So anytime you beat Kerry, there's bad blood there, and especially if it's Fitzgerald Stadium. If you go back to the 2012 game against Tyrone, I mean that was a perfect example of Kerry really wanting to settle the score, even though it was a Tyrone team on its last legs, because they beat them in one All-Ireland, 2 All-Ireland finals and 1 semi-final. So I mean that Fitzgerald Stadium is going to be jammed for that one. It's going to be really hot and heavy, and Kerry public really expect their players to everything will be thrown into this game physically from the very start. So,
but the one thing that was said about Kerry during the league is that, well, Aidan Rourke obviously said that they wasted the league in the sense that they haven't developed man-on-man markers, they can't defend on their own.
Yeah.
But then also in the league final we saw how often Mayo were able to run up through the centre. They're not able for the runners. Cork did the same as well, scored 3 goals, and Mayo still do that. We saw James Carr bursting through Galway to score a goal as well.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, even though it's away from home for Mayo, would you make them favourites?
No, I wouldn't actually. I just think Kerry's record in Fitzgerald Stadium, it's hard to underestimate all that football heritage and all of that history and the pride and the sheer stubbornness and ignorance that goes with all of that down there. There's no way they'll want to be beat down there. And I know you might say they haven't played in a few weeks, but I'm not sure about this thing that Kerry can't defend. I can see why people are saying it, but I think Cork are a funny team in some ways. I don't know what the right phrase for this is. It's not pull you down to their level, but Cork footballers play with sort of an off the cuff sort of a slight madness where they just run at you crazily, and they don't really track their men, and you get drawn into this crazy end-to-end football with Cork sometimes that can lead to defenders being isolated and more man-on-man battles. I think you find these more tactical teams will set up the likes of Mayo and Dublin the way they might set up Tyrone against Kerry. You might find that they don't expose their defenders as much as Cork would, just because the nature of the game Cork sometimes draw you into. So I think we'll see over time that a Thomas Sullivan was probably well able to defend, and I think Jason Foley had a very good Super 8s last year. A lot of people probably didn't even spot that because it was all doom and gloom in Kerry, because they were essentially gone after the second game when they drew in Monaghan. And I think they have tons of quality defenders. Gavin White, I think, obviously very mobile, but there are a few question marks over his defending. But I think they'll have enough defenders. Taig Morley I rate very highly, but he's just had a bad run with injuries recently, so they might be okay at the back, better than people think.
Who do you think will go on David Clifford and even the other Kerry forwards as well.
Yeah,
Paul
no,
Ganey waiting for him to hit top form too.
I think Mayo could run into serious issues here with the sheer physique of the Kerry inside line. Like,
Yeah.
look at the trouble Rian O'Neill caused them. Like, I would have thought.
Like Brendan Harrison's not a huge man.
He's
You
not
can
a
see
big man. He's a full back. Yeah. You still need.
like Chris Barrett isn't tall. He's stocky and he's strong. And then like Keith Higgins is obviously very zippy, hence the nickname.
Yeah.
But so and that's not going to be suited to Ganey, who scored that goal in the All-Ireland final in 2014 because he's good in the air. And of course Clifford was huge.
Yeah. I'd be very worried if it was Mayo over all that, to be honest. Like, two of them boys catch fire, and I don't know what sort of shape James Donaghue's in at the minute. Like, but Mayo had a lot of problems, and I think in the league final with Stephen O'Brien as well, if I remember right. They had to switch. I think they had to switch Lee Keegan onto him. He was giving Paddy Durkin a bit of a chase, and Durkin will be one of Mayo's top man markers we've seen last week of going and Shane Walsh there. Like.
And did he have a bit of a problem coming off at the end against Galway as well? I wasn't 100% sure, but he was taken off coming into injury time as well. He might be fine.
Yeah, like he'd be a massive loss, and like they're going to absolutely need Keegan fit because he's their only real physical man mark. Like Chris Barrett marked Tommy Walsh in the league final, and people in Mayo will tell you he can do a very good job marking a big man, but Tommy Walsh wouldn't be as mobile as your Guineas and your Cliffords and these. Like they're certainly going to need a lot of help back there from whoever it is, like whether Boyle is sweeper or whatever. They're going to need a serious amount of help.
Keegan might end up going back into the full back line if he's right, because he does it so often.
He's such a good man marker, and he's the most physical man marker. And say Guinea, and Guinea's form hasn't been the greatest recently. Clifford is the man. I mean, if Keegan was fit, I'd be definitely putting Keegan on Clifford. I wouldn't even think twice about that, to be honest. I know James Horan's quite a positive manager and wants to keep Keegan in the half back line so he can use him, as an attacking outlet, being one of Mayo's best attackers. But I think for a game like that, I think you have to stop Clifford, or he'll score 2-4 or 2-5 off you in the blink of an eye. Like, so.
Who do you think will win? Well, you're sticking with Kerry, I suppose.
I just think I thought Galway would beat Mayo last week, but Darren Cohen is an interesting.
Beautiful kicker, isn't he?
Interesting find for Mayo. Like
26 years of age, and all of a sudden he's a beautiful kicker.
I seen him in a league. I don't know, did you see him in a league game against Galway? And he had 3 or 4 really just silly shots, just stupid shots, and you were kind of going, "What's that all about?" It's the type of thing the top teams don't do. Shots that just were never on. The next thing he's finding his range, he's popping over points. They've obviously done a lot of work on his decision making and just putting him in the scenarios where he's improved immensely. Himself and Carr, and these guys are a couple of decent finds. Kieran Tracy,
Phil McDonough.
Phil McDonough is a tough fella, like Mayo will take you to the wire. Once I think if they can stop Clifford, Mayo will take it right to the wire. But I just think Clifford, and I'm a huge fan of Stephen O'Brien. I think he's one of the best ball carriers in the country, one of the hardest forwards to mark. Just he's so low to the ground, and he has huge hips, and he's so powerful and explosive and quick.
I'm delighted to hear now about his huge hips.
Huge hips. I knew what I was going to say there. So no, he's very good, and Clifford is obviously outstanding. And Guinea is the one. Guinea or O'Donoghue, if one of those two catch fire, because I think the other two will do well in this game. That's all Kerry would really need, one of those two to catch fire. Although midfield would be still an issue for Kerry, like I would have thought, but probably it's been more of a problem in Croke Park. It might not be as big a problem in Fitzgerald Stadium, I don't think, just in terms of mobility and legs in that area. So obviously Mayo were down to the bare bones in the middle of the field. It's absolutely fascinating game, like every game Mayo plays, fascinating.
And like you talked about Cork there and how they drag teams into playing their sort of broken open game in a way, and then they run at you. Is there any hope of them pushing Dublin in any way, shape or form?
It's funny, I think if you had the stats in front of you, I think they may be the one team that have possibly beaten Dublin more than any other in the Jim Gavin reign. They beat them twice. I think they beat them twice in league football. They beat them in Parky Run in February. That's not going to count for much 5 years ago or something. And actually, that was
as recently as 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's the game. Everybody says that Brian Fenton had never lost a game for Dublin at a stage, but he came on that day and for 10 minutes, so he never lost the game he started. But they beat them down there. I know it doesn't. There's not much bread into that, but they gave them a world of trouble a few years ago in Croke Park.
In that league game,
Brian Hurley and Colin O'Neill give Rory O'Carroll, and I don't know who the other cornerback, I think it might have been Fally McMahon. And just that was the year of 14. They were leaving Dublin 2-on-2. Obviously, that won't be happening.
Yeah.
That won't be happening again.
Well, actually, when you're talking about that open, broken game that Cork played, Dublin are probably the most controlled, slow build-up team there is. So this should be the antidote to what Cork are going to do.
Should be. You'd imagine they'll be too methodical and too clever for them. They won't allow that, bit of madness. Maybe, Cork will do players that can hurt you. Like, I have to
Collins
say,
and Hurley.
I'm very impressed with the way Brian Hurley has come back again to such good form, considering he ripped his hamstring off the bone, and that's a career ender for a lot of boys. Or a lot of boys never come back the same. It's nearly worse than a cruciate, that injury. So, like, to come back to the level he's at, and obviously Rory Dean is just a powerhouse. He has the capability of causing Dublin a lot of problems, I would have thought. But it's maybe at the other end of the field with everybody. Do they have 4 or 5?
There are definitely issues at the back, and even size-wise. Now, I was very impressed with Liam O'Donovan against Laois. Won a lot of positive turnovers. Really good player. Yeah, wing back. He looks good, but again, there's a bit of a size issue all round there, because they started off with Donny Kingston on one small man, and then Donny Kingston goes on to the next small man, and that's definitely a bit of an issue for them back there. But they are at this stage, and they're in the Super 8s, and that's great for Cork, but they've beaten Limerick and Laois. It's quite a mile away from what Dublin are doing.
Well, the thing is, they're after producing 3 very good performances, if you include the Kerry one, and that, 3 very good performances. They've dismissed Laois and Limerick very easily, which is impressive enough. They haven't been doing that in recent years. Like, Ian Maguire's a very, very solid midfielder who'll give you everything and a good leader. If they had Sean Powder there, like, he's a huge loss for them. Like, he's an absolute buzzing dynamo with energy, and he gives you everything. So I don't know. In Croke Park, Dublin are just too methodical and just too clever for teams. If the game had been down in Parky Keefe, Parky Rin, even better, some chance. But
or in a bad pitch in Parky Keefe.
Yeah, you would have given Cork a bit of a puncher's sort of a chance.
You wouldn't.
A wee bit. Like, they're doing some. Like, there's some things they absolutely need to cut out of their game. Like, there was one of the goal chances against Kerry. I don't know. Like, Mark Collins is usually a very good footballer with good vision, but how he didn't see, just to pop it in for an empty palm into the net in the first half. Like, they'll get a couple of those chances against Dublin, and they both have to hit the net. Like, so it's very hard to see anything other than Dublin there. Like, so.
You're a Derry man living in Meath, so you were here to see Meath beat Clare. It went down to the wire, really. And Meath are going up to Donegal, who on form look like the second best team in the country at the moment. Would you give Meath much chance?
Yeah, the pressure's totally off Meath now, which is a huge positive. All they had to do at O'Muir Park against Clare today, all they had to do was win. It didn't actually matter how they won. I don't think performance mattered one jot at all here. Just get out of here and get into the Super 8s. I think I was reading that only one team who lost the Leinster final had managed to even win a round 4 qualifier.
Yeah, in 18 years.
10 or so, something like that, something crazy.
Or sorry, it was 4 in 18 years.
I think it was only one in the last 10 or something. And so even take that stat alone, it was a decent enough achievement to get out of here today. And I actually think they played quite well against Dublin. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, their possession stats, they 50% of the ball. I know that only tells you a small part of the story, but did they have 11 scoring chances in the first half and score only one of them? Like, it's the lowest conversion rate I've ever seen from a team in a really big game ever. So, I mean, they could have feasibly still been with Dublin after 55 minutes. They created a couple of goal chances that were like Conor McGill had a chance to pop one over the top. He came forward brilliantly. He had a great game from full back. Had a great chance to pop one over, just didn't see it. There was another Brian Fenton pulled. I can't remember which Meath player it was, pulled him down, got in and goal. So, I mean, do you call them goal chances in this era? I don't know. The card fairly comfortably. So
yeah, what I would say for Meath is that when they lost Mickey Newman midway through the second half, and he'd been taking the frees, hitting them well, Thomas O'Reilly was brought on and taken off very quickly.
Brought on again at
the end as well. And I'd say the fact that he missed a free and he was involved in a turnover at the sideline as well. But the point I'm getting back to is that Mickey Newman had to come off, and I thought to myself, this could be a big problem for Meath from here on out. He was getting scores from play, he was involved, and it's kind of the talisman taken off, but still saw out a tight game.
You have to give Newman a lot of credit. Like, he's been plagued with injuries for a couple of years, and I don't think not too many people would have, backed him to come back the way he was, and he's done quite well this year. Like, Meath are not blessed with a talented pool of physical, real high scoring forwards, but Mayo's definitely the pick of them. Like, and he's a big unit. He's hard to handle. Like, he'll give them a chance. I mean, James Conlon has been a bit of a revelation in the last few days. I don't know.
But he had a tough game against Dublin, all right.
A very tough game, and he probably, some of them balls inside that were hit him slippy day, they still should have stuck. But he's quite small. We've seen Dublin eat up these small forwards whenever you put them in there. They're just like you can't make an impact against them unless you're physically strong. They just swat you like so. But I mean, they're going to go up to Donegal, and Donegal will, I suppose, hopefully haven't bought into this hype that they're the only team that can challenge Dublin. So you'd fancy Donegal probably should get out of that by a few points. They just look a different proposition this year. Like, they're playing a different, clever, smarter sort of game. You see, like Ryan McHugh he's obviously had the concussions, but he's not engaging in contact anymore. You don't see him running into tackles anymore. They're just moving the ball. He's playing a deeper role, wing back. So he's coming onto things later. You know, he's not going looking for tackles. And Owen Van Gallagher, Sean Patton, them boys are kicked on to a different level, which is a very good sign of a management team and a coaching ticket. There's 6 or 7 in there boys like Hugh McFadden. You know, they've really kicked on to Jamie Brennan, obviously, to a completely different level where they're among the.
And Paddy McBearty's back from the Cruciate.
Yeah, and that second half he put in was huge. 4 points from play against Cavan. He looks ready to explode. Like, Donegal badly needed a forward like Brennan, because last few years it was, you know, sort of Mark Murphy out of the game. He'd probably be coming deep in now, so he's not going to be a big threat there. Man-mark Ryan McHugh starting creating goals. Brady
screen in front of him and keep him outside.
And that's stopped Donegal, not anymore. That's not even closest. Like Patton himself, the goalie, can create points with his ability from long kickouts. You know, they're just at a different. To me, they look like they're at a different level this year than what they were last year.
If you were to put it in a very simplistic way, Stephen Rochford comes in and then all of a sudden Donegal have kicked on to another level. Is it as simple as that? Is that taking credit from other people? Obviously you don't want to do that, but if you were to go from being a really good team to all of a sudden, wow, now you're a realistic challenger, is that what it's down to?
I think Patton was really good last year against Tyrone. I remember he had a very good match that day. So like those type of goalkeepers are a work in progress anyway. Like you should, as a goalkeeper in this year, if you're not getting better year on year, you're going backwards because everybody else is getting better. So I think Rochford tactically is quite good. Like I don't know.
Even though he's gotten slammed for it, like he tries. Shea full back is always the thing that is mentioned. But that worked. It was a good idea, and you know we
stopped Kieran Donaghy scoring goals to stop Kerry at that stage.
Put Lee Keegan midfield on Enda Smith, absolutely shut him out. Put Lee Keegan on Michael Quinlan and Sean Kavanagh. You know, he shut these other teams' threats out. So
he brought that really defensive approach to the All-Ireland final and the drawn one in 2016 that Dublin couldn't really cope with, but for a couple of own goals, and might have had that. Like, and ultimately, what is the time Dublin were most put to the pin of their collar by anybody in the last few years was the 2017 final when Mayo had them by the throat that day.
Yeah.
Like he got a lot right tactically. People would remember Jason Sherlock going into Tuxton to town to start, from Guessing to town to start hitting his kick out short because Mayo had them all ends up. In Tux's kick out, they had won 3 or 4 of them.
I know for sure though that the Dublin stats people measure exactly where kickouts are going, where they're being successful, where they're failing. So like what you were saying, it could be that, or could also be very specifically we're winning it on the left sideline on the 45, keep putting them there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's the place they were losing them all. But I don't know, that's just coincidence. I think you said that.
I meant the right side.
Yeah. But I think tactically Rochford has shown he's very shrewd. I think he's bringing a lot to that. Even it was interesting watching the warm-up last or before the Ulster final against Cavan. Rochford was running everything. You know, and people are right. You have to give Declan Bonner a bit of credit for going and getting him. Like, I mean, if you want to win All-Ireland, you're probably going to have to take down Dublin. Who's coming close to taking down Dublin? Stephen Rochford. He was out of a job. He probably felt he had a point to prove after whatever way it ended in Mayo. So I think that was a really smart move. You're getting a real cutting-edge coach and a very shrewd tactician. Provided the dynamic works with Bonner and Karl Lacey and him, that can only be good. Maybe Paul Durkin maybe gets a bit of credit too, just in the setup coach and Sean Patton. That's ultimately he's going to be doing a lot of work with him, and he looks to have really kicked on. So I'm very impressed with them. I think they'll do much for me, particularly the forwards.
What about Roscommon against Tyrone?
Tyrone are every single week you look at the qualifier draw. the amount of kind of just saying we don't want to get thrown. Like that tells his own story. Nobody ever wants to get thrown. Like whatever. I don't know. It's hard.
They continue to get the counties that they would like to play though. You know, they got Longford, then they got Cavan, who, you know, they'd expect to beat Cavan even
they
if
have
they
it in
got.
the heads over Cavan. Yeah. I just think I don't know. I wouldn't be able to maybe describe this if you asked me to, but to me, the phrase I'd use is tactically shrewd footballers. They're just clever on the ball, and they tend to be where they should be on the pitch, and they tend to be able to do things at points in the game whenever they have to do them. And
Except against Dublin.
Except against Dublin, and like teams seem to just struggle to cope with them. Like they're like a Kildare never beat Tyrone. Tyrone just seem too tactically smart for them, you know. Funny, we mentioned earlier, apart from last year, Cork were one team that could always trouble them. The Cork Madness kind of scared them, running big athletes running at them. But I think we'll definitely see a very tactical approach from Anthony Cunningham. Like I think Linda Smith was at the championship launch last week in Scotstown. He was saying they haven't conceded a goal yet in the championship. I mean that's a very good starting point for any championship game. So Anthony Cunningham is a very tactical type of manager. He'll not just go out there to play football. He'll definitely have a plan for them.
Interesting, a guy who was involved with hurling teams for the last number of years. You know, Gary Castle before that as well. I think he had a brief stint with the Laois footballers too. It's very interesting to see how quickly he's made the transition over to football and hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, I don't think it's not that surprising. Like if you're in the tackles and you understand the dynamics of team sport, that's two huge things he clearly has in the locker, and he's enough to be courageous for the talent. Gary Castle's in All-Ireland final, and they're lucky enough to beat Crofton down the first stage, so he clearly understands and knows football. I'd say he was a good appointment. He's a good man for us to go and get at this stage, because they were 4-17 shipped against Tyrone and Dublin. That's worse. With 420,
424, I
424,
feel like.
You're right. In both games.
Hurling scores.
That's horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous beatings. So he's probably the right man in the right time. Like he's well able to shut things down. Like always scored 2 points in the second half of the Connacht final. So, but Tyrone will bring a much, I'd say, stronger running game than probably Galway did. You know, probably more of a threat. Like McShane is a revelation this year. He is that type of powerhouse forward that we've seen already that can trouble Dublin. There's not many of them in the country. Comer and the like, you know.
I wonder sometimes why did it take Mickey Hart so long to find that guy, because a couple of years ago he had Sean Kavanagh in there, who was probably 35 at that stage, so he's not going to be mobile enough in there. Even if he could catch a high ball, who's he going to get away from? Then you had Mark Bradley in there, who, like you mentioned, small forwards up against Dublin, like James Conn. You know, it's not going to work out either. So wasn't it crying out for Carl McShane? Even Matty Donnelly, you don't necessarily want to play him in there, but surely, why is it taking him so long to find someone like McShane?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, a lot of people are very surprised in Tyrone and beyond that. You know, Sean Kavanagh was sensational when they won All-Ireland in 08 at full forward. I mean, that was the role.
But he was lightning fast back then, wasn't he?
Aye, but he was still a big target man.
Yeah.
It's something they were crying out for, and yet, like the next number of years, he was rarely ever put back in there. And even at the start of this year, a couple of times Mickey Hart was saying, you know, we had too many of the same type of forwards, maybe last year or whatever, but I think that was been the case since 2015, like too many of similar type of forwards, like Curry and Ron O'Neill, Bradley, you know, there's a good number of these type of forwards.
Kalski,
all very good players, but all very, very similar. So like if you don't have a mix in your forward line, you're at nothing. Funny, Bradley is the one I think Bradley would be dynamite in there along with McShane.
And Lee Brennan, of course, as well went away. I mean, maybe it didn't happen for him. It didn't happen for him in championship, but maybe in a different setup with McShane in there with him.
Well, he put Donegal to the sword last year in Ballybuffet off the bench. Brennan, and I think Bradley is just such a clever player. If he had a big target man in there, I think he could cause absolute havoc. But I think he's away to America to play football for the summer. So, he's gone for it now, but he just needs to get that mixture right. Like, I mean, if McShane can trouble the Dublin full-back line, he can trouble anybody.
You mentioned Galway scoring just 2 points against Roscommon in the second half. Roscommon beaten by Mayo and out of the championship. It's year 5 for Kevin Walsh. Do you see him continuing on?
See, he may look to continue on, but he always talks to himself every year with these end of year accounts. You know, and if they've progressed, he'll stay on. So I don't know. Obviously, it doesn't look like they've progressed this year. Obviously, a lot of people haven't enjoyed the style of football they've been playing either. And the funny thing is, I think Galway have a really talented pool of forwards and players at the minute in general. Why not play Johnny Heaney as an orthodox wing back? Martin Farher got a bit of game time at the weekend, but not a proper chance.
They didn't seem to have an attacking plan to get anything out of those brilliant forwards.
That's because they never really got a chance to bed in during the league because they were playing a more tactical, defensive brand of football. And obviously, the Corofin boys weren't there at the start, but I think they have McDaid looks like a quality killer. McDaid a quality football. Peter Cook looks like the ideal prototype midfielder looking at him the other night. Not a wing forward, a midfielder, you would say. I think we have quality. Kieran Malloy from Corofin. What a brilliant attacking wing back.
Homer, Shane Walsh. I mean,
most teams are just setting up with 3 marking defenders these days, and then you have these half backs that are attacking, driving forward. That's the way most teams are playing. We have exactly the right type of footballer to play a really good, positive brand of football, and probably.
Which is why at year 5, if you haven't, considering the quality of player, if you haven't got there at year 5, I think it's very hard to make a case for year 6.
I don't know. What baffles me about the whole project is like the Walsh project in Galway. If you kind of look at what everybody else is doing, there's massive scores racked up here over the weekend in all the games. Teams are hitting 118, 117, big scores. Like football has definitely changed. It's definitely more attacking than it was. There's more high scoring, and to me that changed whenever Tyrone turned up for that All-Ireland semi-final, and I think it was 17, and Dublin just ripped apart their blanket defence. And most managers at that point looked at it and went, again, the one on All-Ireland we're probably going to have to beat Dublin, and we're not going to do it by playing a blanket defence. But Galway are the top team who kept persisting with us even all throughout this year's league. I'm not sure what's to be gained from it, because we all knew last year that they could do it. It was in the locker already, so I'm not sure why they kept doing it all the time. Why would they think like Tyrone here, the masters of this stuff, why would they think that it will work for them against Dublin when it's not working for Tyrone? Unless managers are thinking, somebody else might take out Dublin and we'll nip in here and get an All-Ireland. I'm not sure what they're thinking.
Is there anything to be said that Tyrone, since they tried to push up a bit more on Donegal in the Ulster final, and they got seriously exposed at the back and were well beaten in the game. Is there anything to be said that they have possibly reverted a little bit more to how they were playing previously, a little bit more kind of on the break type thing, and that they're going back to the system that will ultimately fail against Dublin if they get that far?
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see. What way, if they do. Well, they will be playing Dublin now. They're playing them in the third round.
Yeah, it could be a dead rubber at that stage.
Could be, possibly. It'll be very interesting if it's not a dead rubber, to see what way they will set up against them. But he knows now that McShane is his target man, so they're naturally, by virtue of having McShane in there, they're going to be playing different to the way they played a couple of years ago whenever they had Bradley in there and played with just one forward up most of the time.
And Dublin don't like the high ball back there. I mean, it's said so often over the years, but no team likes defending against a good ball in against a good fielder.
Teams are just so afraid to kick the ball in against Dublin, because if you lose it, they just punish you. You're going to score at the other end. That's why teams don't do it as often as people would think we should. And I can understand that fully. It's so hard to get the ball back off Dublin that whenever you have it, the last thing you want is given 50-50 ball. But I think the only way they're going to be beat is if somebody scores 3 goals against them, and at the minute it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to do that with running football. Teams have tried that, hasn't really worked. I'm not sure how you might achieve that, but Tyrone are interesting now, because Tiernan McCann is obviously back again from suspension. Pádraig Hampsey, you'd imagine if he's on the way back, he was injured. Colin Kavanagh is only starting to get fit and get back to himself. They now have McShane, so they have options. Like suddenly they have options like they had Michael McKernan on the bench the last day. Who's
on the bench for a few days now.
Defender, he was decent, pretty good last year. They seem to have found a decent player, and Cassidy, the wing back from
Yeah.
Bowl.
Big brute, isn't he?
Big lad, and there was a lot of questions asked about why he didn't start against Donegal in that Ulster semi-final. Michael Cassidy, and he's been scoring heavily from defence. Like, he's that type of wing back we're talking about. It just drives forward, modern day wing back. Like, so.
Just the final question. Dublin are, of course, the number 1 team at the moment. But if you were to put in order the challengers after that, so you've talked about Donegal has been pretty good. Tyrone being a good team, Donegal are a good team. Kerry and probably Mayo are the teams that you're going to talk about in the chasing pack after Dublin. What order of merit would you have at the moment?
It's very hard to know where to put Kerry, and that's the one we don't really know. But I would probably suggest that, well, probably at the minute, like, we've seen Tyrone swatting Donegal aside in the last 20 minutes in the Super 8 last year when really came to the crunch and a knockout championship game. I think it's easier. You get a better judgment of where teams are, particularly like a Donegal and Tyrone, who have so much history against each other in a proper knockout championship game. Like the Ulster Championship is a big deal, but an Ulster semi-final is not the be-all and end-all for Tyrone and Donegal anymore, like that it used to be. So I would probably say at the minute, like, I think Donegal is a wee bit more going for them attacking wise.
They're number 2, are they?
I'd say they probably are.
Mayo and
they probably have maybe Tyrone at 3. I just think
Tyrone at 3.
Mayo's injuries maybe make them possibly number 4 for me.
And Kerry number 5. Who you possibly fancy to beat Mayo?
To beat Mayo at the weekend, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah. It's just Kerry's a hard one to know exactly where they're at. It's just I haven't seen enough of them. Like, this is Peter Keane's first year, so we don't really. It's weird to say it's coming towards the middle of July, is it? We don't really know where Kerry stand. So, like, you see a lot more Tyrone through the back door. You can really make some judgments in them. So, difficult to know. Like, Mayo have too many injuries, probably, do they?
Yet the talk is Ruan and Jimmy O'Connor are going to be back before the end of the Super 8. Let's get through that. You just don't know.
At the end of the league, like in our championship pull out in the Star, I tipped Mayo to win All-Ireland. I just thought their squad looked so strong. Like, I thought Peeves, after developing 6, 7, 8 subs, okay, you can only use 6, but 6, 7, 8 capable subs that could actually come in and do a job against Dublin.
And they might yet, if they get through the Super 8s.
Who knows? But this first game is absolutely massive for them. Like, if they get something out of this, they're really back on the road again. Like, then they will get something out of this. You'd be saying they'd be the main challengers to Dublin. They go down there and do something in Fitzgerald Stadium.
Sounds to me like you want to run with the hare and hunt with the hound. You've every answer covered.
Completely flip-flopping here. Yeah.
Thanks, Karl.
Yeah.